Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Perseverance Marameni, also known as Madam Speaker. If you're joining in for the first time, you are most definitely welcome. Please hit that subscribe button. What have you been waiting for? If you've not been part of the family yet, you have missed out on a lot, but not to worry. You can always binge watch on my videos and catch up on every single thing that you've missed out on. So we're gonna go straight to it. Every woman who's been asking me, Hori, how does a marriage fail when we're in the church? How does a marriage fail when you have applied all your Proverbs 31, every single thing that has been written on Proverbs 31? You've been applying it, you've been fasting, you've been praying, you've been doing all the right things by the book for you, for your marriage to work, to become a wise woman. But then why is it failing? Because isn't it that when we are together in Christ and we pray together, we fast together, we do all these things together, then the marriage is guaranteed to work out, right? That's what people think. And there is not a word which has come forth, which has been written in the Bible, which is meant to destroy us. I want you to get that. But I also want you to understand that the misinterpretation, the misquoting of the Bible is what will get us into trouble, is what will get us to fail in marriages. I always say that every man wants a Proverbs 31 woman, but nobody wants to be an Ephesians 5 man. First of all, we as women have no business interfering with Proverbs 31. This is my thought, right? According to my understanding of the Bible, of Proverbs 31, post-marriage. I want you to get me that I'm now reading Proverbs 31 after I've had a failed marriage and I have applied things which are on Proverbs 31, and I'm saying a marriage can actually fail even though you have applied Proverbs 31, and this is the reason why a marriage can fail when you have applied Proverbs 31, and I don't want you to fail if you apply it the same way that I'm going to apply it. There's a 50-50 chance that you might also fail in your marriage. So I'm not saying scratch out Proverbs 31 in your life. Ne? I'm saying read Proverbs 31. Now start looking at Proverbs 31 with an understanding that it is supposed to build. Because if you look at Proverbs 31 the way that I've been looking at Proverbs 31, chances are you are setting yourself up for doom. So my intentions are good. My intentions are clear. So when I say I want to read Proverbs 31 and I want you to understand and I want you to get how you can fail after you have applied Proverbs 31, then you will know how to apply it and not to fail. But also it's not a guarantee, right? It's just my thought. So I'm going to start from scratch. If Proverbs 31 is a poem written by the king's mother to the king saying, my son, son of my womb, son of my vows, I wish that when you look for a woman, take my advice, look for a woman of noble character. Look for a woman who wakes up and goes to the field and makes sure that her family is well taken care of. If you, as the king's mother, was doing all the things which you are telling your son to look at when he wants to take a wife, you would not need to tell your son all of that, because your son would just know the type of woman to look for because he saw that in you. We get a lot of kids who always say that I want to marry a guy who is like my dad. I want to marry a woman who is like my mother. You don't want to marry a woman who is like your mother, or you don't want to get married to a guy who is like your father because your father taught you the kind of guy to look for. You want to marry a woman, or you want to get married to a guy who is like your father because you saw how your father treats your mother. You learned from your father just by observing, without him saying a word, that this is how a woman should be treated, right? Meaning that had Lemuel's mother been a Proverbs 31 woman, she would not need to tell her son what to look for when he's looking for a wife. And another thing that I want you guys to understand, we all want what is best for our kids. We want our kids to get better than what we had, right? So I would like to believe that Lemuel's mother did nothing wrong because she was ambitious. She was ambitious when she wanted the best for her son. Lemuel's mother wants the best for her son, even though that best is something that she couldn't do or something that she couldn't offer. It's the same thing as when I studied, when I didn't go to school, when I didn't finish high school, but I want my son to become a doctor. It doesn't mean that I'm wicked, that I want my son to study hard to become a doctor. It simply means that I'm more ambitious and I want my son to get the best out of life. So this is exactly what Lemuel's mother is doing here on Proverbs 31. All the things that she's writing about, saying, my son, when you look for a wife, look for somebody who is like this and this and that. She's not saying that there's anything wrong with other women. She's not saying that she would judge him for marrying any kind of woman, but she's just being ambitious enough to say, my son, what I wish for you is the best, right? And I need you to understand that Proverbs 31, you have no business making it about you as a woman. As a woman of God, you have no business taking somebody's love letter and making it yours, right? And stressing and pressing yourself to live by that, which is just a fantasy, if I may put it that way. Proverbs 31, according to my understanding, it's a fantasy. It's a wish, because this is what Lemuel's mother wishes her son could get when he marries a woman. So it's up to her son whether he wants to get a woman like that or he can't get a woman like that. Proverbs 31 is not guaranteeing that there is a woman of that caliber, there is a woman of that nature. Proverbs 31 is only saying that, my son, I wish for you to get a woman who is like supernatural. I wish for you to get a superwoman. I wish for you only the best in everything. And then we come as women. We are being told about Proverbs 31. And when we see some of these things, we see that, listen, if I do all of these things, what is the man going to be doing? Then you realize that you are a slave, you know. You come as a woman of God, as an aspiring young woman who wants to succeed in marriage, and you take a love letter that a woman spoke about to her son, and you want to make it a reality. There's nothing wrong with that. But I need you to understand that Proverbs 31 is speaking to a man. Proverbs 31 is not speaking to a woman. Proverbs 31 is not saying, as a woman, change your character and become that. Proverbs 31, if you read it all the way to the end, it says that many women do noble things, but you surpass them all. Meaning that the Proverbs 31 woman that this Lemuel's mother wishes that her son can marry is a woman who's going to surpass. So meaning that this wish that the mother has for her son is like top notch, top of the range. So if it is top of the range, it doesn't necessarily mean that there's not anybody else underneath that. It means that it's okay for you to not be a Proverbs 31 woman. That man, it's all up to him to go find a woman who is like that. Proverbs 31 is not speaking to women. I need you to understand that. So the reason why we end up getting banned when we apply Proverbs 31 is because we want to do things that have nothing to do with us. Proverbs 31 is speaking to men. So that means that as a man, you need to make it a point that you go get yourself a Proverbs 31 woman if you want a Proverbs 31 woman. So it means that when as a woman, that which you are is good enough. That which you are is fine. That which you are is good enough for somebody else, right? But that Proverbs 31 woman is out there. And she doesn't have to work on herself to become a Proverbs 31 woman. She's been born a Proverbs 31 woman, right? So the king owes it upon himself to go find that Proverbs 31 woman. So the problem with a lot of us is that we make it about us. We read, as women, we sit together in ladies' meetings and we read Proverbs 31 and we say, the Bible says in Proverbs 31, a woman of noble character must, a woman must. No, this is supposed to be, Proverbs 31 is supposed to be read amongst men in a men's meeting. It's supposed to be read in a men's meeting where they sit around and they say, when you look for a wife, these are the things that you should look at. And the reason why as Christian ladies we are getting burned, even though you're doing everything by the book, is because you take it upon yourself to become that Proverbs 31 woman that you were never that. And you are becoming that Proverbs 31 woman because you are hoping that you will be good enough for somebody to marry you. You understand what I mean? So now here's the problem. The second thing that I want to speak about. There's nothing wrong with being a commoner, right? It's either you are of royal blood or you are a commoner. And when you want to apply Proverbs 31 to a man who is a commoner, to a man who is not a king, the kind of things which are noted down on Proverbs 31, she speaks wisdom, faithful instructions is on her tongue. Proverbs 31, she makes linen garments and sells them and supplies the merchants with sashes. This woman that they're talking about here, this woman that Lemuel's mother is describing here, is a woman who is fit to marry a king. And then you come as a Christian woman. You want to be this Proverbs 31 woman to a guy who is a commoner, to a guy who does not even know what to do with a woman who is fit to marry a king. So basically, a Proverbs 31 woman is a queen, right? So you come with your queenship standards. You come as a queen with all your Proverbs 31 standards, and you get married to a commoner who knows nothing, who has no idea what they're going to do with a Proverbs 31 woman, who has no idea what to do with a woman who is a queen. You are a queen, right? You are a Proverbs 31 woman, right? And as Proverbs 31 details, it is speaking about a woman who is fit to marry a king. But you are so focused on being a Proverbs 31 wife. But is this man a king? Is this man that you are giving this services a king? If he is not a king, do you think that thing is going to work out? Is it going to work out? This woman, who is a Proverbs 31 woman, has been married into a place where there's a palace. Let me just give an example with that. There's a palace, right? There is a big household where there is bread, where there's a lot of things which have been supplied for this woman. She doesn't lack anything. If she's making linen garments, that means the material to make that is there in her household, right? So when I, as a Proverbs 31 woman, have you been supplied with the raw material to make things happen? Your king, the man that you are becoming a Proverbs 31 for, can he even afford to provide for you basic needs for you to excel in becoming a Proverbs 31 woman? Or you are becoming a Proverbs 31 woman in a household that you provided for yourself. It's your own palace. It's your own palace. You are a queen. There's no king next to you. And then you're just taking a nobody. You're just taking a commoner from the streets. And you are saying, come sit here next to me. You are now the king. And I'm going to practice being a Proverbs 31 on you. I'm going to jump straight to Ephesians 5. Ephesians 5:25. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. If you're going to become a Proverbs 31 woman, a woman who pulls all the stops, a woman who is perfect, you're going to have to do that to a man who is willing to die for you. Is your man willing to die for you? Do you have that guarantee that this man can die for me? Because Christ died for the church. Christ loved the church so much that he died for it. So the Bible says you should be able to love your wife as you love yourself. You love your body. You clothe yourself. You would not starve yourself. But women are being abused on a daily basis. Women are being abused physically. They're being abused emotionally. They're being abused financially. They're being abused in all sorts of ways. There's a reason why we have 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. It's because men are not treating women, or they're not loving women as they love themselves. You can never hit yourself. You can never rape yourself. You can never abuse yourself. Meaning that if you can do that to your woman, then you're not loving her as Christ loves the church. Do you understand what I mean? So if you're not loving your woman as Christ loves the church, why then should your woman become a Proverbs 31 woman? Because if you can beat your woman up, you're not a king. And if you're not that, why do you think you deserve a Proverbs 31 woman? Because like I said, I'm going to go back to it to say Proverbs 31 was never about a woman. Proverbs 31 was never about advice being given to us women. Proverbs 31 was about advice being given to men to say when you look for a woman, this is what you must look for. But also in the same breath, that man that is looking for this type of woman, you should be able to be willing to die for this woman. You should be able to love her as Christ loved the church. You should be able to love this woman as you love yourself. But then that part is never famous. That part is never spoken about. We are always speaking about, as a Proverbs 31 woman, you must wake up, you must do this, you must do that, you must just enslave yourself. You must be a superwoman. But you're not being a superwoman to a man who is willing to lay down his life for you. Like you are giving to somebody who is taking some more from you. So women, I need you to understand that Proverbs 31 is not speaking to you. You continue being yourself. If you are not fit to marry a king, then you will marry the next guy. But that Proverbs 31 standard is only for when you want to marry a king. A king who understands how to treat a queen. Because when you are a Proverbs 31 woman and you are ahead of a man who is not an Ephesians 5 man, then you are bound to suffer. You are bound to cry because you are advanced. You are advanced. A Proverbs 31 woman is an advanced woman. She's not just a random woman. She's not just a woman who marries anything that is walking past. A Proverbs 31 woman must be fitting for a king. A Proverbs 31 woman must be fitting for an Ephesians 5 man. So what I'm saying to you is that I'm not going to accuse anybody of anything, but with my ways or my means of being a Proverbs 31 woman, if you can read my stories, if you can watch my videos, I was an aspiring Proverbs 31 woman married to a commoner. Married to a commoner. You understand what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with marrying a commoner, but there's no pressure on your end to be a Proverbs 31 woman if you are married to a commoner. You do not have to be a Proverbs 31 woman if you're not married to a king. Number one. Number two, Proverbs 31 is not speaking to you as a woman, no pressure on your side. Proverbs 31 is speaking to a man to say when you look for a woman, you must look at this, meaning that a man must decide when he sees you, when a man finds you and he looks at a list that he has from his mother to say when you look for a woman, look at these things. When he finds you not having those qualities, he should not marry you. If a man who's a king is looking for a wife, he has the list of qualities to look for. And if you don't fit those qualities, he should not marry you. So Proverbs 31 is a fiction. It's ambition. It's ambitious. It's an ambitious mother. And in my opinion, I feel like, you know how mother-in-laws are. Your mother-in-law, in most cases, right, would never... Your mother-in-law wants a good wife for her son. So all these things which she wrote down, which she probably couldn't even do herself, she wants somebody else's child to come and do it. She wants somebody else's child to come and fill in the gaps which she couldn't fill. You understand? And we all know stories about how everybody complains about their mothers-in-law. We all have those stories where you feel like you are being enslaved every time when you go to your mother-in-law's house. That is because you are not her child. And all those things which she wrote down that she feels like her son needs to get, it's because you are not her daughter. Because if you were her daughter, she would be saying, my child, you can't be enslaving yourself like this. But because we're now then you should be enslaved, right? So she wants what is best for her son. You need to understand that. Lemuel's mother, when she wrote that poem for her son, the Proverbs 31 woman, she wrote that poem because she wants what is best for her son. It doesn't mean that her son will get that. It doesn't mean that everything that is there on Proverbs 31 is possible. But she desires that her son gets the best out of everything. So for you to take that and make it about you and put pressure on yourself to become that woman to a man who's not even a king is a problem. So these are my views and opinions on Proverbs 31 and why you can become a Proverbs 31 woman and still fail in a marriage. Understand who you are serving and if it's necessary for you to be serving that person with Proverbs 31 5-star treatment. Because a guy doesn't become a king because you became a Proverbs 31 woman. He was already a king who decided to look for a Proverbs 31 woman. You understand what I mean? So we are taking it the other way around. We want to treat men like kings. We want to be Proverbs 31 women first, with the hope that when you have become a Proverbs 31 woman, then your man will behave like a king, then your man will be the king of your life. It's the other way around. You find a man who's already a king, and then you become a Proverbs 31 woman. It comes out naturally. Once you see that being a Proverbs 31 woman is painful for you, then you're not serving a king. You are serving a commoner. You are serving somebody who does not deserve the 5-star treatment of a Proverbs 31 woman. This is the free counseling, premarital counseling that you'll never get from the church. When they say you must become a Proverbs 31 woman to your man, you need to find kingship qualities in that man. So because a lot of us feel like when a man approaches you and he says he wants to marry you, he did you a favor, so you must just behave, so you must just always become a Proverbs 31 woman just to prove to him that you did a good thing by choosing me as your wife, you end up going all the way. You end up going all the way and you do more and you get nothing in return. I need you to understand that it's okay for you to be content with the type of woman that you are, even if you're not a Proverbs 31 woman. I need you to understand that you can transform into a Proverbs 31 woman simply because of the kingship qualities that you see in your man. Once becoming a Proverbs 31 woman is painful and it hurts, that means that you're not serving a king. That means that that man that you're with, or that man that you're serving, that man that you want to give Proverbs 31 packs to, is not a king. Because when you are serving a king, it comes effortlessly. It comes effortlessly. You can tell when you look at somebody that this one is willing to die for me. You can tell by their actions that this one is willing to die for me. You can tell by their actions, by how they have their house in order, that this one is taking care of me. He's a king. And I need to up my game. I need to become a queen. I need to match his standard. But instead, because we have been fed with this thing that, you know, as a woman, you need to be complete by getting somebody who must marry you, and you are lucky and you are blessed to have a man who's going to choose you out of all these women in this world to be his wife. Then you end up going an extra mile and you become a Proverbs 31 woman to a man who is just a commoner. And that's all. That's all I have to say today.